What we have here is the entrance to the main body of the fort, called the Sally Port. And you'll notice the fancy stonework that's over the entrance. This is unique to this particular fort, Fort Knox in Prospect, Maine. Above it is the embrasure for the single gun position that's over top of the Sally Port. This also is unique to this fort only. Right now we're inside the Sally Port, or the main entrance to the fort. This is the only entrance into the main portion of the fort. The stonework that you notice overhead here, the large heavy arch, is basic support for the gun emplacement that's above it. We're now going to go around the corner here up to the casemates of the main body of the fort. We're now standing inside the center casemate of the fort. This particular area leads directly into the bastion, which is a large portion of the wall that juts out from the main body of the wall in the center of the fort. We're now standing inside the bastion. And in the bastion, we would have normally two 24-pound flank defense howitzers over here, and two 24-pounders on this side. 24-pounders were used to defend the front wall of the fort against any infantry intrusion.
It would get very smoky when they would fire the cannon, so they built vents above the embrasures as well as up in the ceiling, and that would help vent that smoke out. I'm standing over a cistern. There are 5 cisterns located here in the fort. There are pipes that run through the walls that capture the rainwater from the roof and divert it to the different cisterns. And the reason why they have a cistern up here, when they would fire those cannons, there would still be live embers inside of the barrel, and they would need to put those out before they would reload. So they would lower a bucket down into the water, lift it up, and then they would use a ramrod with a piece of sheepskin to attach to the end of it. Dip it into the water and run it down the barrel of the cannon, swab it out to make sure all those embers were put out before they would reload. There are hooks above the embrasures. At one time, they believed that those hooks were for the ramrods. But the ramrods have to be several feet longer than the barrel of the cannon. So they would be very heavy and very long. What they believe now is that those were for lanterns. So if they had to fire at night, they would have been able to see. Because there's no electricity up here. There are metal plates that are on the floor. These are called traverse rails, and this is what the cannons and the howitzers would glide over. And we'll go look at a 10-inch Rodman cannon up close, and we'll get a chance to see how that operates.
Okay, what we have here is a 10-inch Rodman. This gun was cast by the Fort Pitt Foundry in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1865. Shipped overland by rail to New Jersey. From New Jersey, it was put on a barge and brought up to the site here. This particular gun, this tube or barrel right here, weighs 14,000 pounds, and it cost the government $1,700 to buy. There were 14 of these guns inside the casemates of the fort, as well as about 30 of them on the outside in Battery A. This gun would fire a projectile just like these over here on the floor, 120 pounds. A powder charge of sufficient size would have been placed in the gun to be able to fire this particular projectile out into the middle of the Narrows, between the mainland here and the Verona Island on the other side of the Narrows, to sink or make an attempt to sink any enemy shipping that may be coming up through the Narrows.